Hi, welcome to Awake TV. So today Sue and I gonna talk about how we how can we be more balanced when we are spiritually, energetically, emotionally overwhelmed and exhausted, and doing everything we can do during this our spiritual journey or everyday life, and then outside it seems to be super chaotic or not exactly what we like to see, or more and more things is showing up in our life, and then get super tired of it. And most of us are going through this because we are in the ascension period, because we finished December 21st of 2020. Earth has ascended, so now we are experiencing physical ascension. So more or less, depends on who we are, not only our personal level, but collective level, we have to clear all these densities, lower vibrations for the humanity and ourselves and the past lives and stuff like that. So today we want to talk about stuff like that with Sue. So what's your view on this, Sue?
Well, I think that for myself, I've had real dense energy exchanges, and what I mean by that is, as the light is coming in um, to help humanity in the ascension process, what we're experiencing is clearing of old energies that we have built up in our bodies, in particular, but also in our light bodies, our emotional body, our mental body. It's a cleansing, so to speak, but it's also a preparation for holding higher frequencies. And so the way I experience it is I have always been an active person all my life. I mean, always doing something. And what I've come to understand is that A-type personality that I can exhibit has had to take a back seat and just chill out. It is a incredible time in humanity with this shift that we're going through, with this ascension process, with this increasing our frequencies and holding more light. And we are becoming, through this process, our true selves. We are embodying more of our higher self, those energies that people think they can only access once they die and go to heaven or whatever. We're experiencing that on earth now. In this, we can do it as incarnated beings. However, it is a process. It isn't going to be complete in a small amount of time. And for myself, I find that if I just need to rest, or I need to disconnect from something, even if it's information about, what's going on currently in the world, I just need to disconnect from it, and I do it, and I don't question it anymore. And I have to get comfortable, and it is a process for me with the quiet time, with the times that I'm not, quote, doing something. So there's this part of my ego that goes, oh, but I'm not being productive. I'm not. Well, yes, I am actually, and so are you, and anybody that's listening to this. If you're feeling and your body's telling you to go within or be quiet or don't think about things or watch a good movie, whatever it is, meditate, go out in nature, whatever your way of decomping, you're being guided to do that, then let go of the guilt or the fear that you should be doing something, because I think that's coming into balance. I mean, I'm finding that for myself. What do you think?
Well, like, it's very hard for me to not to work, because I'm the I love being an entrepreneur, and then I always felt super passionate by working, and I don't get tired of it when I do something I love by doing it. But when except outside of work, when we go through challenges in life, outside of work, and then when we have to take a break or rest or emotionally recuperate, it's very difficult to stop everything not working because you know, a lot of probably single ladies can identify with me with this situation, or maybe a mother with a child. When you are the one who is a breadwinner in the family, and then you have to work no matter what's going on emotionally, you can't just rest like how many days ever you want to rest and see everything else going to be sorted out, like financially. So that could be very challenging to tell everybody to, you know, rest as long as you want. Like I can't do that. So if I can do that, maybe I can find hour or 2 hours out of my day to doing absolutely nothing. Or if I'm totally burned out, which I was on the other day, and I made a few contents, not all of it on Sunday because I work on Sunday as well. I work every day basically. I like doing that, but I was so exhausted. So I made a few content. I told myself I only gonna make 2 content today, and then rest of the day I don't do anything. So it's very difficult to not do anything and then disconnect everything completely because of that kind of a situation. Or you might be like me, very passionate about building an empire, and then you don't want to stop, you know. So it's
Well,
very
this is
difficult to,
this.
or challenging to see the balance in between.
No, I think you misunderstood me. Don't forget, I work 2 jobs. So I work all the time. Plus, I have kids and a husband. But what I'm saying is the part of us that is motivated to just go, go, go all the time, which I have been most of my life, um, that's what I'm saying. We have to quiet a little bit. And, you know, I am a workaholic, I'll say that, but I'm learning not to be, and to be comfortable with not doing that, with always producing. I mean, 7 days a week, yeah, I work 7 days a week. Um, and then lately, sometimes I don't, because I'll just take a day on the weekend or whatever and do something that brings joy. What I'm saying is, I think these times with the energy that are coming in is it's forcing us to stop a little bit and slow down a little bit and not equate our worth with what we're doing, but to equate the time that we give ourselves as a building period, as kind of reshoring our energy for what's to come next. And I think we can't give away, let's say we're a cup, we're a vessel. We can't give from our vessel if it's not full, or if it's mostly empty, or if we're running on fumes. And so this is anyway the lesson that I'm learning, is that to be more comfortable with the times where I'm just being quiet, even if it is, like you said, an hour. You carve out an hour for yourself here or there, or instead of doing 5 shows, you do 2. You know, whatever that looks like for an individual. For me, in the evening is when my mind is always racing pretty fast, and I've just been slowing down and either writing or reading or even watching a show. You know, I've gotten lost in a couple of shows just because I don't have to think. They did all the thinking for me. And so that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying take, weeks off, or even whole days, whatever time we can carve out for ourselves. But what I'm talking about is like not putting a judgment on it that, oh, I'm not producing. Because when we identify as our work, or what we do and what we produce in the world, we are ignoring our essential self, and that we are so much more than that. We
That
are,
makes sense.
yeah, that's
That's
what I,
self-love, don't you think?
sure. And it's also,
Self-love and self-care.
yeah, and it's looking at what our purpose in the world is on a different level. So, in other words, if I'm always constantly identifying with what I do for a living as being who I am, that's only such a small part of the picture, is what I'm saying. So, if we can start looking at ourselves and what we're doing and the time, like you said, giving ourselves self love, then I think other things just naturally open up. You know, like when we have rejuvenated and taken the time to
How do we reconcile ourselves with, um, you know, how we talk to our guide, like, you know, more or less, just be than do. We exactly, you and I both understand that. I don't think that's a concept, that's a truth, but that's more of the 5D, you know, 5D way of living. We're in 4D, you know, in between 3D and the 5D. So sometimes we are dragged into 3D consciousness so much and then make ourselves be too much doing. And even though we do understand, you know, if we rest ourselves, you know, put ourselves into more better situation, and then we can fill our cup and then everything will flow. I mean, sometimes it can be very challenging, right? Even though we fully understand that that's the right thing to do. So
well,
how
and the
can we
reason the reason
train ourselves to be that direction? Do you have any tip to our viewers?
Sure. I mean, you know, the reason it is seemingly difficult to redefine ourselves is because ever since we were, you know, born, most of us have been taught that we are what we do, or our worth is based on what we do, what we produce, what we study, what job we do, and you know whether we're successful in relationships or not. I mean, it's all do. So, you know, my biggest tip is um, challenge that belief and start thinking in other ways. And I used to do exercises, you know, back in the day where I would write a list. I'd put on paper, you know, what I valued about myself and things I wanted to change. And of course, the list of what I valued about myself was itty bitty. And then, of course, my other list of things I wanted to change was monstrous. And what I decided after some time with my counselor is that all the things I wanted to change about myself, you could flip those around into a positive statement and start saying those things to yourself, that I am this. In other words, if I said, well, you know, maybe I don't have enough money, for example. That was on my list back then. It's not on my list now, but back then it was. And I would turn that statement around and say, I am abundance. I am open to all the abundance the universe has to offer. And so when we change the thought from what you're not to what you are, what you wish to be, but say it as if it's happening right now, then you open up the energetic and to um, walking into that beingness. And so that sounds kind of hocus pocus, but what I'm saying is our mindset has a certain energy to it. And if we're constantly in the negative or in the deficit, then that's what keeps coming in. If we change our thoughts about ourselves and start speaking in the positive and acting and behaving in the positive, that brings it more of that to us. So this is a metaphysical concept that I'm talking about. However, I'm here to tell you I've done it in my own life and it works. And I still have to catch myself at times when I start, like we were talking about earlier, we're do people, right, Erica? We just like, we're just these energizer bunnies.
Yeah.
We have to stop it. You know, when we're starting to feel tired or overwhelmed or like it's just all too much, that's when we need to stop and start redefining who we want to be, what we are, in terms that are not based on what we do. It's what are we being? Are we being what we wish to ultimately see in ourselves. And I think that's what changes the energy. That's what brings us into balance. What are your thoughts?
A lot of the times, I recommend people to make a mind movie. A lot of people say make a vision board, which you have to look at the board, right? Instead, make a mind movie. Same concept, make a mini movie, like a mini commercial for yourself about your dream life, and then watch that right after you wake up. I do that every day, by the way. So that's another thing you can do. Best thing you guys can do is I do recommend, because Sue and I do what we do, we offer our quantum hypnosis service to our clients. So you can change your deep-seated beliefs from a subconscious level to change really fast, because
Yeah.
all this affirmation stuff might not be working so fast for everyone. It never worked on me. So, like when you change it in subconscious, deep seated level, it immediately changes. So, if you guys are having that problem, contact us. We can help you. So that's another thing we can do. But I recommend you, if you want to work on yourself, but on your own, make a mind movie and watch that every day when you wake up. That's how you can program your subconscious mind on the daily basis. So you can change it, because when 30 minutes before you wake up, after you wake up, you are not completely changing to conscious mind. You're still operating in subconscious mind. So whatever the stuff you expose yourself to, which you have to be really mindful about, you can watch that kind of stuff to reprogram yourself on your own.
Yeah, and that's a big one because if we're constantly focusing on what's outside of us, then we're obviously not building the movie, the picture, what we want to see happen in our lives. And, we've talked about this before, but I think it warrants mentioning again. We, we, we create by our thought, word, and deed. We create our reality that way through that energy. If we're focusing on stuff that makes us tired, that wears us out, that upsets us, that makes us sad, that's on us. That's our responsibility, whether we're doing that or not. So I love the idea of, doing your own vision board or your own movie, however you need to visualize it. And like Erica said, that wakeful period first thing in the morning, that's like the kind of theta brainwave we bring people into in hypnosis.
Yep.
That's an ideal time to focus on building your picture. And also, like Erica said, we can help you. I spent 30 years working on myself. And after I had my first quantum healing hypnosis session, it just blew my mind how quickly I was able to heal from some things that I wasn't even aware of in my life, or, in my past lives that
Don't
carry
you
over
think
into
we
this.
wanted to
It's
know this
immediate,
much faster?
quick. It's
Like
much
quantum
faster.
hypnosis, like don't you think you and I wish to encounter quantum hypnosis even as a client? We had a really nice experience as a client. That's why we decided to become the one, right? Don't you
Yeah.
think we encountered this much faster, so we changed it earlier?
Are you kidding me? Okay, so if you want to think about that, absolutely, we did much faster, like immediately.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. You could spend so many years in therapy and counseling, or you could have one or two sessions and you're still making out like a bandit for the money that you'd spend on all that therapy and all the time and all the missed work and all the personal time that you put into it. I mean, I put years into my own building of my psyche and my energy and changing my upbringing. You don't have to do that. I mean, now that there's the hypnosis and the quantum healing, it can be immediate. It really is amazing.
Yeah,
So
it is amazing. It's just I wish I knew that. Like, I
oh,
mean,
I know.
it's like, that's why we're recommending. Like my client, I just having a session with. After first session, she was like, "I'm healed." And I was like, wait, what? We just had the one quantum hypnosis and you're healed. She was like, yeah, I think I'm 80% healed. I was like,
Well,
wow.
I mean, this is why I got out of social work. You know, I'm not putting any institution down, but I'll tell you personally why I got out was because, you know, with insurance and even with public insurance, people were only allowed, you know, this many sessions or under these I mean, it was crazy. How are you going to do this just having traditional, you know, cognitive behavioral therapy, which is what I did,
Mhm.
CBT. How are
Is
you going to
it
get,
effective, by the way, Sue?
say again?
I was thinking about maybe like deepening my knowledge on the subject, but how effective is that? You've been doing that, right?
Well, I used to, I did it for myself and I did it with clients, you know, when I was a social worker. And the thing
Mm-hmm.
of it is, it's like anything else. It's how, if you put the time in and do the work,
Mm-hmm.
it's effective. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to say for myself, it was, but again, we're talking about time, which is valuable.
Yeah.
And I spent years doing it. And it was mindfulness, as you said, that's a very important component. Um,
It
so
takes time.
when we do a quantum healing session, we record the session and we talk about, you know, what the person experienced after the hypnosis. Those recordings can be listened to over and over again in case you forgot something, but the information that comes in and the healing for the person during the session, I mean, that's instantaneous. That doesn't take years.
Yeah.
And
I mean, like,
so that's why I decided to be a practitioner.
yeah, it is. I agree with you. I mean, I did study regular hypnosis, but quantum one is special, you know. That's why I love quantum hypnosis because it's something else. And then we have flexibility so we can mix up with other modalities we have learned before, right? So a lot of varieties we can offer the service. So it's just thankful for that. But I'm still amazed how fast the client can discover their healing or cure or whatever that is.
You
And
know,
they
I've
have a
had
list
a
of
couple
laundry
people,
list of everything.
yeah, I've gotten some feedback from a couple of clients, and it's interesting. This one I'm thinking of in particular, um, she called me, and when we were doing our session, you know, the pre-talk,
Mm-hmm.
on and on about why she couldn't leave this position, how many years she had in,
Mm-hmm.
how it would affect her kids, all this other stuff.
Right.
She had the session, and
Mm-hmm.
she got her guidance from her team and her higher self. And about a month or two later, I can't remember now, this was a couple of years ago, she got back to me in an email and she said, guess what? I'm so excited to tell you this. I was offered, I started putting my resume out and I was offered this other job, and this is why it's so much better. She just, so, you know, even if it isn't like right away an immediate thing, it's a changing of the mindset, which is what I was talking about earlier. It's getting us to open up. It's that guidance from our team that and our inner self that reminds us that if we think about things in a different way, or we start opening up to all the possibilities that we've been limiting ourselves from just by changing our thoughts about a thing. Could it possibly work out? Could I possibly find another job? Could I possibly find myself in a situation that's even better than I even imagined? This is what happened for this woman. She said, this is better than I ever imagined. Now, I don't take credit for that. This was her work that she chose to do for herself, and she opened
Mm-hmm.
up to it. You know, so I think that's really important to mention. You asked me if CBT works. Yes, it works if you work it, right?
Right.
So if you come into a session and imagine that somebody outside of yourself is going to come in and just fix everything for you, we are still responsible for
Oh yeah.
the guidance, right? So
Even
if
for
your guides come in and tell you, or your higher self or some other entity comes in and tells you all these things that, you know, would be helpful for you. And then you walk out of the session and you don't implement it. You don't take the steps for yourself.
Yeah, you know, some of the people, you know, they don't do things, you know, you just want to feel good during the session, you feel good, you don't do anything, you know, you're 50% responsible for your transformation anyways, right? If you don't do anything, you don't change. You know,
Right.
so yeah, but anyhow, that's important. And also, as a light worker like us, you know, you and I, whether we like it or not, we signed out the contract about clearing all these things around us. So sometimes we connected to collective consciousness, even though we are not vibrating in that range, we are pulled into that kind of, maybe because we are both empaths too, but we're pulled into this kind of vibrational chaos.
Density.
How do we, what can we give our advice to our audience? I'm pretty sure a lot of people are experiencing stuff like we are experiencing right now as well, you know?
Yeah. You want me to go
How do you
first?
deal with that?
Okay. So I stay present. I am clearing, I am like you, working on as part of my life contract, clearing a lot of density for the collective. And I'm glad, I'm glad I signed up for it. However, as I said earlier, when we're a vessel, we have a physical body. We have to make sure our vessel is filled up with light and, you know, staying present, staying out of the news, staying out of anything that really isn't my own personal business is how I keep a balance. So breathing, pay attention to your breath. Make sure you're breathing. Are you holding your breath? Those kind of techniques I use, and then I work with light energy. So I do you know, and it's quick. It's very quick. I just do a brief meditation in the morning before I get out of bed. I do one in the middle of the day. I do one in the evening. So what I'm doing is I'm releasing the energy from the collective that I have accumulated if I haven't already released it, which I usually do right away. But sometimes there's residuals, you know, so I make sure that I allow that to pass through into the consciousness, you know, or the central sun or the Christ consciousness. I ask them to clear that for me. And then I bring in the light into my body to replace that energy that I just cleared. And what it's doing is it's just constantly charging my battery. How about you? How do you deal with it?
Well, I was told to feel when emotion comes up, good or bad, and feel through it. So then stuff goes away. And I do that as me. But, you know, I want our viewer to understand that no matter how advanced you are, you know, you think, or I think, or Sue thinks, you know, spiritually we always need other people's help. So, you know, I
Yeah.
was talking about this topic with other people on the other day. It's very hard to self-hypnotize yourself, even professional like us. We can make ourselves to go through 5 different past lives by us hypnotizing ourselves, right?
I've
So,
never done it.
yeah, I tried. I can do only one, and that's not enough because you cannot keep on asking the question to myself, right? So my point is, it's very important when you are going through very difficult, challenging period for clearing for yourself or others, and you need other people's help. Go ask other people's help. Just because, you know, we are doing a spiritual profession, or you think you're a light worker or starship, it doesn't mean we can do everything on our own. We are here to help out
Absolutely.
each other. So my tip is go seek out someone you feel like you're aligned with to get help. That's a good way to caring yourself as well.
Excellent point. Yeah, because I just talk about little daily routine things that I do that I think are easy, but absolutely I reach out for help when I need it. And whatever that looks like, like you said, find somebody you trust. Sometimes it's just signing up for a massage, which I have scheduled on Monday. I really could use the relief of somebody working on my body to really, to release the tension in my muscles, because especially in my neck and my shoulders, but, or a quantum healer or a Reiki master, or in whatever way you wish, to come into balance. But it's such a great point, Erica, that reaching out for help, because we're not, human beings are not really built to be an island to themselves. We are social creatures.
Yeah.
And I think the reason that we are social creatures is because it's important for us to know how to ask for help when we need it, or just a little bit of support, right? A little bit of relief.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had my last tip in my head, but
Yeah.
it's
Well,
kind of like I got blanked out. I forgot what it was. So, do you have any last tip? I may remember what.
yeah. Yeah. Just, when it comes to self-judgment, really need to stop and go easy on it, because we're all going through changes, and
Yes.
we are all dealing with our own personal issues, and then the collective issues, and then our jobs and our homes, and our kids and our families and our relatives and our friends. And I mean, we all have our own bag to deal with. And it doesn't matter how spiritually evolved we get, we're still, as long as we're incarnated in this earth, we're still going to have things to deal with. And so I just say, go easy on yourself, try not to judge yourself. And
100%.
that'd be nice.
Yeah. So my tip
Cool.
is I remember ask, do prayer, even though I no longer Catholic, prayer does work. Okay. When you pray, universe can hear you, your guide can hear you, your star team can hear you, everybody can hear you. So do that and then be open mind and then see what comes up. Because on the other day, I was thinking about I'm not quite great about, that's my belief, helping out the physical transformation when people having real illness, right? I never had that kind of client. So I was thinking, how can I help myself? And then our colleague is doing a cellular webinar thing, how to communicate with cells, and then transcend your physical limitation. And I'm taking this course, but I was talking that to universe on the other day about that, and then I got this answer from universe, which I wasn't really looking around for anything. It's just so it does help. So that's my last tip. So thank you so much for watching. Please share, like,
Yeah.
subscribe, and then if you guys want to have a certain topic you want us to discuss, please write in the comment. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, that was cool.